This morning I'm filling up my tractor bucket with water. I have to go down and water the plants down by the road. We don't have a water hose that will stretch that far. But it's cute because, sweetie, do you want some water? Y'all hold on a minute. Do you want a drink of water? I've never seen a horse drink out of a water hose. Do you want some of this water? Look, do you want some of this? I've never seen a horse drink out of a water hose. I've seen the alpaca do it. Oh, Lord. Do you want some of this or not? She's putting her mouth right next to it. So, in case y'all are wondering, there's plenty of water here. There's a big old water trough right behind me. But no, this is fun. This is cute. Boy, somebody thirsty. Can I get back to work now? I got work to do. Beverly, you want some? This is not really the ideal way to water your plants. Anyone that has plants knows this will be a lot easier with the water hose. But our closest water hose is way up the hill. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do this with one hand. Oh, I'm getting it all over my feet. Last tomorrow, it went all over my feet, my shoes. But it is what it is. And so I'm only doing it once a week. I don't think it's been that hot to where I need to do it more than once a week. Have y'all seen how pretty all this stuff looks though? I haven't really done, I don't think of any videos since we've got all this taken care of. I'm going to be honest. I'm a little bit embarrassed to show you this because, okay, I'm just going to, time to come clean with you all. I'm going to show you something I'm embarrassed to show you. I'm going to show you something I'm embarrassed to show you. Hey, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Here we go. Look what I've had to do. Look what I've had to come by and do to this pretty fence. I had to go back and put panels behind it. Do you want to know why? Because even though I never thought these goats would be able to get their heads through there, they do. They put their heads through there and they've been eating on these plants. And one of my biggest fears, look at that. Look at the back side of those, how they've all been eaten. And so it's not the plant necessarily that I'm concerned with. It's the goat getting their head stuck in the fence, not being able to get their head backed up out of there. Over here, we haven't had a problem. This wire over here is so small that the goat cannot put its head through there. The horns would not allow it to. So these are fine. But I did have to come back over on this side. And behind the welded fence, I did have to put some of the cattle panels. I zip tied them on. I would like to say this is just temporary, but it really, even though you can't really tell when you drive by, I can. And you know how I am about stuff like that. But yeah. Anywho, I want to remind you of a few things. Let me turn the camera around. Every time, and I mean every time that we've had a contractor come out to I'm a Survivor, or even here to Longhorn Lester's, and they've done a good job for us, I have always given them credit with you guys. I have always taken the time to showcase or highlight their business in a video. You all know this. You can talk about, I don't know how many you can recall off your head. I'm just going to go by and name a couple. We talked about the pond guys, how many jobs they've done for us and repeated business because they do quality work. And then when something's not done right, they come back out and they make it right. We've had, remember the Juan Ventura tree service fella? Remember Juan Ventura, the tree service guy? I gave all kinds of credit to. Made a video about him and his employees for helping out. Deontay and his wife, the jobs that they've done. Fidel, back in those days with the Fidel. I always make sure to give credit where credit is due. And I know I'm forgetting the plumber, Johnny, the plumber, who's come out and did so much stuff at I'm a Survivor. So I think that most of y'all who have followed the page for a while know that when we get a job, when we have to have a job done that Jamie and I cannot do ourselves, and we have to contract those jobs out, I love highlighting and showcasing good small businesses. Because it's just like I'm a Survivor, we love to see businesses grow if they're worthy of growing. But I've also told you guys many times about businesses that I will not promote. People who have come out and done a really crappy job, we'll just say crappy job, or half of a job, or partial job. They do not give you, they do not produce what they promised you. And so what I do, instead of calling them out, I don't want to publicly shame them, but what I will do is not make a video. I will not highlight or showcase their work. There's a tractor working behind me on some of the cable, so y'all have to just excuse that noise. But I want to show you the entrance over here and talk about how beautiful it is, but a major defect, something that was never finished when it was built. So just to note that the sides over here, the welded fence over here and over here, were not done by the same guy who did the entrance over here. So I don't want anyone to confuse the person that did amazing work on both sides of the driveway with, well, let's just say the structure of the entrance. I'm going to talk about these columns, but I have to pull my four-wheeler right up beside it so I can illustrate something to you. There we go. All right, so when a column builder comes by and he puts all this sandstone together and he bonds it all using this mortar, they have to make sure they come back and across the top put a cap on top of it. If it were not to have a cap here and it begins to rain, rainwater goes inside here and without having a way to escape begins to build up. That in return is going to begin to break down all of that mortar. And over time, this soft sandstone will begin to break apart. That's why you see so many people have these big, beautiful columns and they crumble. They weren't put together right. Now, that's not a major deal on a small column like this over here. But when you get over here on these larger columns that have structures built around and inside of them, that could be a major problem. I'm going to climb on top of my four-wheeler and show you something. Hi, Mr. Huck. Looky here. Now, when this column was built, it was built around these big, heavy treated timber, which end up making up our beautiful entranceway. Gorgeous. But the builder of this never put a cap across it. He never come by and put a cap across over the top of it. Instead, there's all kinds of other crumbled pieces of rock and things thrown in there. I guess that was extra pieces they did not need. But the problem is, every time it rains, rain falls inside there and has no way to escape. This thing was dug down a foot or so deep into the clay, so it cannot escape through the soil. You know, clay holds water. It can't escape through the column. So we've only had a couple of rains, but this thing is going to slowly fill with water. And this entire column will crumble. This entire column, over time, will begin to crumble. Worse than that, I'm trying to get down off the four-wheeler. Worse than that is this treated wood. Now listen, these posts are big. These are big 8x8s. And when they were set, they were flushed up right against each other. But as you can see, because of the weathering, they were never screwed together. They were never pulled and screwed tight together. What you should have is a bolt. A big long bolt that goes either from the outside to the inside or vice versa, but it should pull all of this timber together. And in fact, those bolts were never put. And as you can see, this thing is beginning to split apart. Now, it was never a solid piece. It's 3 individual posts, but they were never pulled together. So what we've had to do is go out and hire a fella. He brought in some rock. He's going to eventually use that rock to build us a mailbox. He's going to also cut some pieces to cap off this part that was never capped off. And that's the same on both sides of the entranceway. That has been a concern of ours since the entranceway was quote unquote completed. You can see the same things happening over here on this side. These big posts are pulling apart because they were never tied together. You can't put timber side by side and hope that they, cosmetically, I think this might be the most beautiful entrance in the entire county. To me, it's gorgeous. However, that's only cosmetically. I know in the long term, this thing's going to crumble and rot. And so even though it looks gorgeous now, if we don't find the time, find the money, and find a skilled individual coming here and fix this for us while we still can, we're going to have problems in the long run.